There's a lot of unique accessories in Xenoblade 3 that offer a variety of different effects, and you might be wondering, which of these accessories are worth using to have the most success in combat? And how can you find the best accessories to use? Well, don't you worry, because in this video I will be discussing how to obtain the strongest accessories in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, most notably the Legacy of the 7 items, and discussing what I believe to be the best accessories to use in combat. If you enjoy guide content on Xenoblade 3 like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I have even more guides coming in the future and it will make me love you forever. This video will be spoiler free to the best of my abilities, but I will be showing off one of the later regions in the game, as that is where you can find these items, and I also have a hero gotten from a side quest in my party, so just be warned if you care about that. First things first, let's talk about the Legacy of the 7 items and their locations. So the Legacy of the 7 are the 7 rings that are completely unique accessories where only one version exists in the entire game. For whatever they boost, it will be the strongest of any possible accessory. The Solus rings boost healing by 40%, the Saturni rings boost attack by 40%, the Veneris rings boost TP by 20 at the start of a chain attack, the Iovis rings boost agility by 40%, the Mercury rings boost critical rate by 60%, the Martis rings boost block rate by 60%, and the Lunae rings boost damage dealt by fusion arts by 100%. All of these are some pretty strong effects. I'll talk a bit more about my opinions about just how good I think these are along with all of the other best accessories a little bit later. For now, let me show you where to find the Legacy of the 7 items. So all 7 of these items can be found around the massive Cadencia region. I will be honest, I do not remember which specific rings come from which of the 7 locations outside of a couple, but I will show you all 7 locations to find these rings. The first location is simply in this area in the southwestern part of the map. It is a secret area that you can just take your boat into a little crevice and you should be able to find it with no problems whatsoever. There aren't any additional problems with the area. There's no unique monsters you have to fight or anything like that. You simply just go to the area and you'll find this little altar thing and you will get your rings just from collecting it from here. The second location is a bit more annoying to get to and to find. So, you've got a section over in the southeastern part of the map, where there is a bit of a swamp area you have to go through, and then a cave behind that. And once you go through that cave, you'll be able to get to this really, really high-level area with really high-level monsters, and there's these 2 unique monsters at a level 102 guarding this one. But it is at this one location. I got these by sneaking around them initially before I was strong enough to fight them. It is possible to sneak through this entire tunnel without, dying and getting to landmarks, so that is something you can do. The third location is just going to be at a top of a very familiar altar in an island that is towards the north of the region. If you go to one of the coasts, you should be able to find your way up just by going through the middle area and then to the right from there. And it should not be very hard to reach. This one is also guarded by a unique monster, but you should be able to lure it and then go back after it de-aggroes you without aggroing him if you do not want to fight him. And then you will get your third set of rings. The fourth location is in this more central island towards the middle here. That very, very middle section you see is where you're going to want to go for that. In order to reach that, you got to take a little zip line here to reach the center part of the island. And then from there, you'll be able to swim through the water over to the southeast that you saw where that water leads. There will be a little cave crevice area where you can climb up. And from there, you'll be able to run over to this section. This one's also guarded by a unique monster, level 78, so that's always fun. But once you get past that, or once you can just find a way past it with de-aggroing, you'll be able to jump down to this little island here and get to the 4th altar to get the 4th ring. This next location is the furthest away from a landmark. It is on this island that is to the very west here. I think you have to go here as part of the story, I believe. It is Corn Island. And we simply are going to be taking a walk around the entire path here, climbing up some vines in order to get to the zip line at the very top, and going to the island from there. This one is probably the most important one to grab because it gives you the Lunae rings, which is 100% damage on your fusion arts, which is a really powerful effect, and something I'm a big fan of. So I definitely recommend doing this. You'll be able to go kind of around the island. There will be another set of vines all the way over to the south right here. And from there, you just make another quick walk, and there should be a zip line or rail to grind on here. And that will lead you to the next altar where you can get your Lunae rings. This next one is really fun to try to get. You have to do some mechanics while you are grinding rails. Essentially, you're going to want to go to this island, and then you're going to want to go to the center island where you see two rails going in the same direction over on this side. And now we're going to need to grind on this rail, and then jump to the other rail, and then jump to where those vines in the middle are. And that altar, you can actually see it right now. And if you do it properly, you can actually land like perfectly where you need to, but as you'll be able to see, I'm not the most graceful, so I land all the way over here, which I somehow didn't fall off, but that's fine though. That gets me to where I need to be in order to get to where I need to go over here. And these vines, if you climb them, you will be taken to the next altar. I believe this was the last set I got, and I actually did record this one, so I believe this one is the Mercury rings. And it actually is. So that's what happens if you actually open them and you haven't taken them already, like I have for all the other rings. The final location is in a hidden, or in a secret area in the Lost Colony area. You'll need to do Tyon's side story in order to get access to this area. But you'll be able to simply go around this little cave area in the very north part of this, northeast. And once you do that, if you just jump backwards, you'll be able to find the altar. You should pass the altar on the way to the secret area, honestly, so... And if you go to all of these locations, you should be able to get all of the Legacy of the 7 accessories. There's an additional special accessory in a different area, but I think it may be a bit of a spoiler, and the effect is just gaining aggro every second, which I don't think is the most useful effect, so I'll let you guys discover that yourselves. So now let's talk about what I believe to be the strongest accessories to use, and why. It is worth noting that most of these accessories I show off will have weaker versions that are good to use if you are earlier in the game. The type of effect should still be mostly identical. First up, we have the Saturni rings. This offers a nice boost to attack, and as such is one of the best accessories in the game, as it directly modifies your base damage and should increase all of your damage by roughly 40%. Since there's only one of these in the game, the ceramic belt is a good item as well for a lesser boost, but still a useful one. You can never really go wrong with increasing your attack stat. The Solus rings boost healing by 40%. This is a decent accessory for a healer if there aren't too many other utility items you want to run, as this will give you just a direct boost to all of your healing arts and abilities, which can be helpful for staying alive against more powerful enemies. You should probably only have one healer doing most of the healing duties and the other being more supportive, so you really only need one of this effect. Carbon gloves boost dexterity by 32%, a good universal increase to hit rate, though there are technically some better options for accuracy boosts, but they are more conditional, and I was being lazy. The Iovis rings boost agility by 40%. This is a must for agility tanks, as it will increase how often they dodge by a pretty significant amount, assuming they already have high agility from other areas. Definitely a very useful item. Titanium support is a backup agility boost. I recommend this if you just want to evade a bunch of attacks and just try to tank that way. The Mercury rings boost critical rate by 60%. That's a pretty massive percentage multiplier, however I would say that this only really works well with classes that already have a naturally high critical hit rate. Otherwise, you won't get nearly the same effect out of it. But for those classes that do have a good critical hit rate, this is a very strong accessory since you can stack it with critical damage abilities, which can give you a lot of strong damage all the time. Now this next accessory is better for classes that have a low crit rate, as it will increase critical rate by a flat 16 percentage points, which will offer a larger boost for basically any class at 25% critical rate and below. If you want to take advantage of critical damage on classes with a low critical hit rate more frequently, this is a very good accessory. I think in particular with Full Metal Jaguar, which has amazing damage but a low critical hit rate. The Martis rings will boost block rate by 60%. This can be situationally useful, especially on tanks that already have a pretty high block rate. For example, on Mio here, this would put her at 97% block rate, reducing the damage she takes by quite a bit. I haven't had the need to run it just yet, but it would be pretty powerful to block almost every attack, and it could be a valuable option to consider on a tank. The shield belt is an interesting item that I have not used yet, but it's actually a pretty strong option to consider. Not really on a tank that needs to keep aggro, so doing less damage would really hurt them, but on a healer that could really use the extra survivability and isn't contributing to damage much anyway. This is definitely something to keep in mind if you find your healers are having a hard time staying alive. Fiber wraps can boost damage to launch enemies by 110%. This is a very nice damage increase, especially since launch already grants a damage bonus, and it is a very great time to use a chain attack. Highly recommended. These next 4 items all go hand in hand, offering a 100% damage boost to a certain enemy type: terrestrial, aquatic, aerial, and machines. This is one of the easiest damage increases to get the condition for considering how large the increase is. A lot of these damage increase accessories are much lower values for stuff like attacking from the side or outdoors or indoors, but this increase is very strong and can be modified depending on the enemy you're fighting for a much bigger damage boost. Now there's something I should mention about these damage increases. You might be wondering why I'm not just running 3 large damage increases like this instead of having the 40% extra attack at all, since you'd think you could get more damage this way. However, all of these damage increases that say boost damage by a certain percent are all tied to the base attack stat and are additive with each other. What this means is that if I have one increase of 100% and another increase of 100%, I won't get 400% damage by multiplying that together. I'll be doing 300% damage instead because these damage increases will add together. The math ends up working out that the attack boost is more valuable because of how the damage calculation works. For now at least, there may be a combination that is better in the future or something I haven't discovered yet. After that, we have Beautiful Crystal. This is a very, very specific but very, very powerful damage increase that goes up to 250%. If you're in a fight with a lot of enemies, you can become very strong after defeating some of those enemies, and it is absolutely worth using then. However, against single enemies, it's pretty useless. The Sonic Sensor and Platinum Brooch offer accuracy increases depending on if it is day or nighttime, and this will do more than a dexterity boost if you feel like changing it out. If you're missing a lot of attacks, this is absolutely a great option to consider. Chaotic Memory, I actually liked this a lot when I was using it on Mio. Essentially, anything you cancel into the enemy, they cannot block that attack or evade no matter what, and that allows you not to worry about accuracy pretty much at all, and it also gives you some pretty nice damage, which is nice for a fast spammy tank class. I find it's really useful for help keeping aggro, and I really enjoyed it when I used it. Hellfire Amulet boosts damage from Blaze by 300%. Blaze is actually a very strong effect in this game, and this accessory can make it even more so. I don't think I've shown off Blaze at all yet, but it will be something seen in a future video, and this large damage increase can make it hurt a lot. Damage over time is once again very strong, who would have guessed? Lunae Rings I already discussed briefly, but it offers a 100% damage increase for fusion arts. I like this as a source of damage increase because it works on everything, basically at all times, and all chain attacks arts will be fusion arts. This is a very strong effect and definitely something worth using. Platinum Cube is a weaker version of that, but still worth bringing along even if it is only 60%. Another okay damage increase that works at all times is the Victor Gauntlet, which grants 60% more damage, but you will also take 20% more damage. This is a risky item, but if you're just trying to do as much damage as possible, it can still be very much worth using. The Memory Locket allows non-healers to revive allies. This could be decent on a tank if they are the only one able to really deal with hard mode level 200 super bosses, for instance. It also lessens the need for a healer, though I do think Signifier is so broken that it should pretty much be in every composition anyway. The Fraternal Badge boosts recharge when non-defenders are targeted. This is especially useful for healer classes to get more arts for healing if an attacker has been targeted, and is also great for just getting a lot of arts out in general. If you're not worried about taking damage as an attacker, you can always take aggro yourself and get even more damage with this, since you'd be recharging your arts even faster. The Devotional Necklace is also a great accessory for healers, to give them fully recharged arts after they revive an ally, and I believe this even affects talent arts, which is pretty dang strong. This will allow the healer to instantly use any healing abilities they have on their revived ally, or apply buffs, or whatever else that could be useful at the time. The Gust Bracelet is a nice accessory that isn't super useful for longer fights, but it is very nice for quick burst damage just to have all of your arts at the start to spam fusions. I like using it when I just need to kill regular enemies quickly in quests or something. Silver Earrings fill the party gauge on critical hit. Valuable to get party gauge faster and chain attack sooner if your damage is high enough for that, and similarly, Crystal Earrings will fill the gauge when you use an art. This is very strong for fast art spammers to do the exact same thing with the chain attack gauge, and can be very powerful to get the chain attack as soon as possible, especially if you have strong chain attack damage to kill the enemy fast. I expect speed kills and challenge mode stuff in the future to use a lot of these. Veneris Rings increase TP by 20 at the start of a chain attack. This is the last legacy of the 7 item we have yet to discuss, and honestly, I think it's probably the worst one. I don't really see much use for it with my current chain attack strategies right now, but it could be useful if you aren't using Ashura and need to get those Bravos and Amazings round 1 and 2. Brute Memory is a decent accessory that lets you survive at 1 HP no matter what, which can be nice for tanks or healers to give a bit of an emergency stop to dying and give a bit of time for recovery. Tyrant Ring will boost launch duration by 27%, which can be useful to get even more damage on launch if needed and if you aren't chain attacking. It also gives you more time to smash too. The Break Brooch lowers enemy break resistance, which is very valuable for combos and something that is very important against stronger enemies with high resistance. Combos are always going to be helpful for stopping the enemy from attacking and giving you as much extra damage as possible, so I really highly recommend this. This is the beta scope and master scope of this game. The Shackle Ring boosts effects of arts used within a set period. I'm adding this here, but I honestly haven't been able to figure out exactly how this works yet, but it sounds like an interesting effect that could be useful if properly figured out, so if anyone wants to do some testing with this, that would actually be very much appreciated. The Bond Crystal increases interlink charge rate. This is actually pretty nice if you just want to get to an interlink form as quickly as possible for the extra damage or other strong abilities it possesses. I liked using this a lot when I had it on. It's a nice accessory in the right situations, especially against weaker unique monsters or something that you can kill very quickly without chain attacks. And finally, we have the Monastic Necklace. This has absolutely no combat benefit, but it does increase how fast your class growth rate is, and I forgot to mention that in the class video. So this is something that can be worth using when raising your characters. There are a lot of other accessory effects in the game, but they don't seem that valuable to me compared to the ones I've shown. I'd recommend using these types of accessories and changing them out depending on the situation. If you're wondering where to find all these, I cannot really tell you the specifics for most of them, as there's just way too much game and they're pretty much everywhere. There will probably be a data mine or map eventually for this type of stuff that you'll be able to look up. My recommendation is just kill all the unique monsters and open all of the treasure chests that you see, and that should give you most of the best accessories over the course of the game. Just make sure you are checking everywhere. I think that is going to cover it for this video, so I want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have learned something and that this video was useful to you. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more guides for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, absolutely subscribe to my channel, like the video, and comment down below, because I have plenty more planned and I cannot wait to show off more. With all that said, thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful and blessed day.